Hey Knights, so this is for chapter 7 and 8. So chapter 7, School Reunion. The doctor walked into the physics laboratory with a certain Gemma Simmons behind him, smiling at the kids. Good morning, class. Are we sitting comfortably? He grinned, beginning to write on the board. So, physics, eh? Physics. He looked over his shoulder. I hope one of you is getting all this down. Okay, let's see what you know. He put down the chalk. 2 identical strips of nylon are charged with static electricity and hung from a string so they can swing freely. What would happen if they were brought near each other? He looked at a young boy with spectacles whose hand was in the air. Yes, what's your name? Milo. Milo, he grinned at the name. Off you go, then. They'd repel each other because they have the same charge. The doctor brightened. Caracamundo, he grimaced. A word I have never used before and hopefully never will again. Gemma coughed from where she sat at another desk, and he winked at her before beginning to pace. Question 2, Miss Simmons? Yes, sir, she agreed, standing up. So I coil up a thin piece of micro wire and place it in a glass of water. Then I turn on the electricity and measure to see if the water's temperature is affected. Here's the question. How do I measure the electrical power going into the coil? The doctor was surprised when only Milo's hand went up. Gemma looked around, surprised as well. Someone else? No one answered. No? Okay, then. Milo, go for it. Measure the current and the PDs in an ammeter and a voltmeter. Gemma blinked. 2 for Milo. The doctor leaned forward. Milo, tell me this. True or false? The greater of dampening of the system, the quicker it loses its energy to its surrounding. False, he replied instantly. What is non-coding DNA? Gemma asked immediately afterwards. The DNA that doesn't code for a protein, he shot back barely a second later. 65,983 times 5. 329,915. How do you travel faster than light? The doctor asked. He can't get this. By opening a quantum tunnel with an FTL factor of 36.7 recurring. The doctor's jaw dropped, and he looked at Gemma in shock. Told you, she mouthed. After a few more classes, the doctor and Gemma slid down the lunch line. The doctor looked up when someone slapped mash onto his tray, and he met a pair of angry dark eyes. He looked over to his shoulder to meet an equally dark pair of eyes. The doctor and Gemma looked at each other and began to snicker, walking away towards one of the empty tables. We're so dead later, Gemma laughed. Worth it, the doctor told her. A few minutes later, a cloth dropped onto the table, and Jessie began scrubbing. 2 days, she grumbled. Sorry, could you just... The doctor pointed to a spot on the table, grinning. There's a bit of gravy. Jessie glared at it and scrubbed harder. No, just there. Gemma giggled and Jessie growled. 2 days we've been here. Blame Celine, the doctor told her. She's the one who put us into this, and she was right. Boy in class this morning got a knowledge way beyond Earth. You eating those chips? Jessie asked, pointing. The doctor nodded, jabbing one with a fork. Yeah, they're a bit different. Oh, I think they're gorgeous, Gemma sighed, chewing. Wish I had school diners like this. It's very well behaved, this place, the doctor said, looking around. Jessie agreed, rolling her eyes. I thought there'd be slapping hoodies, he continued, tilting his head. Happy slapping hoodies with ASBOs. Happy slapping hoodies with ASBOs and ringtones. Gemma snorted into her chips, and Jessie began snickering. Huh? He glared. Don't tell me I don't fit in. One of the other diner ladies walked over. Jackson, the doctor remembered, glaring at Jessie. You're not permitted to leave your station during a sitting, she said. I was just talking to these teachers, Jessie replied. Gemma waved. Hi. Hello, the doctor put in, waving as well. He doesn't like the chips, Jessie stage whispered. Gemma choked on one of her chips, and the doctor thumped her on the back. Jessie glared at him. The menu has been specifically designed by the headmaster to improve concentration and performance. Now get back to work. Jessie growled. You see, this is me, and May. Cafeteria ladies. I'll have the crumble, Jessie told her. Jessie groaned. I am so going to kill you both. The doctor and Gemma just burst out laughing as Jessie returned behind the counters. Melinda, May, and Jessie began drying the dishes when the double doors swung open. They ducked behind a rack and watched as the cafeteria ladies wheeled a large cooking oil drum in. May's phone rang, and she answered it. What you got? She asked. Confirmation, Fitz replied. We just got into Army records. 3 months ago, massive UFO activity. They lodged over 40 sightings. Lighting in the sky, all of that. We can't get any photos because it gets all classified in secret, Celine added. Keeps locking us out. Tell you what, though, Jessie said. 3 months ago, turns out all the Kenshin staff was replaced. And this lot is just weird. See, Celine crowed. There's definitely something going on, and I was right to call you home. I thought maybe you'd just call me home, Jessie blushed, just to call me home. You'd think we'd invent an emergency? Fitz asked. You could have done, Jessie pointed out. That's the last thing we'd do. Watch it, Jackson barked. Because every time we see you, Celine continued, an emergency just gets in the way. One of the oil berries toppled over, and one lady was splattered. She began screaming, and May quickly hung up as the woman was taken into the office, the blinds being drawn. She quickly began dialing another number, when Jackson noticed. What are you doing? She demanded. May held up her phone. Calling an ambulance. No need, Jackson replied. She's quite all right. Jessie raised an eyebrow when there was the sound of something being ignited, and a scream. Jessie narrowed her eyes. It's fine. She does that. I bet she does, Jay muttered as Jackson vanished into the office, now filled with smoke. Jessie didn't pay attention as she looked at the oil just spilled, and I'm pretty sure that oil eats through metal. Thanks, Gemma, the doctor told Gemma as she had handed him a bottle of water. Yesterday, Mr. Parsons was saying, I had a 12-year-old girl give me the exact height of the wall of Troy in cubits. And it's ever since the new headmaster arrived, the doctor asked casually. Finch arrived 3 months ago, Mr. Parsons confirmed. Next day, half the staff got flu. Finch replaced them with that lot, except for the teachers you two replaced. And that was just plain weird, her winning the lottery like that. How's that weird? Emma asked just as casually. She never played, so the ticket was posted through her door at midnight. The doctor said with a quick wink to Gemma, who grinned. The world is very strange. Excuse me, called Winks. The doctor turned to see Mr. Finch had entered, and he drew in a breath when he saw who he was with him. A moment of your time. May I introduce Miss Sarah Jane Smith? Miss Smith is a journalist who is writing a profile about me for the Sunday Times. I thought it might be useful for her to get a view of the trenches, so to speak. Don't spare my blushes. Okay, before I go on, I have to say this. I love the fact that the guy who plays as Mr. Finch in this episode is the guy who plays as Giles, the Watcher in the series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, I had a full-blown fangirl moment when I noticed that he looks like him. I'm like, oh my god, it's Giles! And so, yeah, huge Buffy fan. So, I wanted to point that out, just because I love that, and I love sharing the fact that I love Buffy and all that. But yeah. So back to the story. Gemma nudged him. Do you know her? She whispered. Is it that obvious? He asked. Don't tell Jessie. Hello. The doctor's head jerked up as Sarah Jane approached them. He couldn't help but smile. Oh, I should think so. And you are? She asked. The doctor blinked when Gemma nudged him harder. Him? Smith. John Smith. Gemma Simmons. Gemma introduced herself. John Smith, Sarah Jane murmured. I used to have a friend who sometimes went by that name. Well, it's a very common name, the doctor replied. He was a very uncommon man. She smiled, holding out a hand. Nice to meet you. Gemma shook it, then the doctor. Nice to meet you. Yes, very nice. More than nice. Brilliant. Don't scare her away, Gemma whined. Sarah Jane blushed a little. Have you worked here long? It's our second day, Gemma replied. Oh, so you're new then, Sarah Jane said enthusiastically. So, what do you think of the school? I mean, this new curriculum. So many children getting ill. Doesn't that strike you as odd? You don't sound like someone doing a profile, Gemma noted. Sarah Jane smirked a little. Well, no harm in a little investigation while I'm here. No, the doctor agreed. Good for you. He continued nodding and grinning even as she walked away. Good for you. Oh, good for you, Sarah Jane Smith. Oh, it's weird seeing a school at night, Jessie commented as the 6 of them entered the school later that night. It just feels wrong. I remember you talking about that, Fitz said. Yeah, I used to think all the teachers slept in school. All right, team, the doctor announced, then made a face. Oh, I hate people who say team. Gang? He made another face. Comrades? He shook his head. Anyways, Jessie, May, go to the kitchen. Get a sample of that oil. He looked at Celine and Fitz. Celine, Fitz, the new staff are all math teachers. Go and check out the math department. Gemma and I are going in Finch's office. Be back here in 10 minutes. Jessie turned to look at Fitz and Celine as the doctor and Gemma left. You going to be all right? Me? Fitz scoffed. Please. Infiltration investigation. I'm an expert at this. The 2 of them went down the hallway, and then Fitz came back. Where's the math department? May raised an eyebrow. Down there, turn left through the fire doors on the right. Thank you. Jessie snickered as he left. No wonder the doctor called him Fizz. May just snorted, and they headed for the kitchen. The doctor and Gemma walked through the corridors when the doctor held out an arm. Hold on. What? Gemma whispered, then saw what he had seen. The storage room door that held the TARDIS was open. Should we? What? Wait a tick. Second later, Jane came backing out. Hello, Sarah Jane, the doctor said softly. She spun around, staring at the doctor wide-eyed. It's you, she whispered. Oh, doctor. Oh, my God, it's you, isn't it? She slowly walked forward. You've regenerated. He gave a small smile. Yeah, 6 times since we last met. That was you with the fedora and the scarf, right? Gemma asked, racking her memory. The doctor nodded. You're good. Thank you. You look incredible, Sarah Jane breathed. So do you, the doctor countered. She shrugged. Huh, I got old. She looked at Gemma appreciatively. Are you the new assistant? Gemma blinked. What? No, Gemma here is one of the group that told us what was going on here. What are you doing here? Well, the doctor grinned. UFO sighting, school gets record results. I couldn't resist. What about you? The same. She laughed and sobered. I thought you died. I waited for you, and you didn't come back, and I thought you must have died. I lived. Everyone else died. What do you mean? Everyone died, Sarah. The Time War, Gemma whispered. Jessie mentioned that. The doctor winced. Sarah Jane noted it. I can't believe it's you, she said. 2 screams were heard simultaneously from down the hall, and Gemma perked up. That was Fitz. Okay, now I can, Sarah Jane declared as they began running. Running came from the opposite direction, and Jessie and May ran up, Jessie holding a sample cup, May wielding a gun. Did you hear that? May asked. Jessie got to the more pressing issue and peered over Gemma's shoulder at Sarah Jane. Who's she? Jessie, May, Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane, May, Jessie. Huh, try saying that 3 times fast. That's a tongue twister. Hi, Sarah Jane said brightly. Nice to meet you. She turned to the doctor. You can tell you're getting older. Your assistants are getting younger. Jessie bristled. I'm not his assistant. No, Sarah Jane winked. Get you, tiger. Sorry, Fitz apologized profusely as the 5 made it to the math department. Sorry, it was us. You told us to investigate. We started looking through some of the cupboards, and all of these fell out on us. Celine finished folding her arms and observing the mess they made. Oh my God, they're rats, Jessie whispered, looking around. Dozens of rats. Vacuum-packed rats. The doctor raised an eyebrow. And you decided to scream? It took me by surprise, Fitz protested. I expected Celine, but you? Like a little girl, too? It was dark, and I was covered in rats. Jessie started, and the doctor grinned. 9, maybe 10 years old. I'm seeing pigtails, frilly skirts. Can we focus here? Jessie asked, snapping her fingers in front of his nose, making him jerk back. Anyone else see something strange about this? Rats in school? Well, obviously they use them in biology lessons, Sarah Jane replied. And Jessie raised an eyebrow. They dissect them, or maybe you haven't reached that bit yet. How old are you? No one dissects rats in school anymore. Gemma quickly jumped in before Jessie could say something insulting. They haven't done that for years. Where are you from? The Dark Ages? Jessie quipped. Anyways, the doctor said loudly as Sarah Jane began to open her mouth. Moving on. Everything started when Mr. Finch arrived. We should go check his office. This way, May said, pointing and leading the way. Jessie ran to catch up with Sarah Jane. I didn't mean to be rude or anything, but who exactly are you? Sarah Jane Smith, she replied. I used to travel with the doctor. She looked over at him over her shoulder. Which one? Sarah blinked. 2 of them. Description. Cellar in the lapel, pocket watch, question marks, Jessie pressed. If you must know, it was first one had an opera cape, and then a fedora and a long scarf. 3 and 4. Huh. Well, he's never mentioned you. Oh, I must have done, the doctor said from behind them. Fitzsimmons and Celine flanked him. Sarah Jane mentioned her all the time. Hold on, Jessie pondered to think, then shook her head. Sorry, never. She ran to catch up with May. What? Sarah Jane asked in surprise. Not even once? He didn't mention me even once? And may the Deathbringer of Asgard be unleashed, Celine joked. Ho ho, mate, Fitz cried. The missus and the X. Welcome to every man's worst nightmare. What?
What time do you go to work tonight? 4:30.
Why?
Dang it.
Why? Why?
Why?
Will you tell me why?
No. Okay. I was gonna look at stuff, but never mind.
Okay.
Cause I'm trying to hang out with Matthew, and the only way I can actually hang out with him is if he comes over here. Otherwise, since Phil and Miss Jen are going to a wedding.
Gotcha. The doctor saw at the lock on Finch's office and opened it. He took one look at the ceiling and looked back. Just, you know how you used to think all the teachers left in the school? Well, he held the door open further. They do. Jessie gagged when she saw what appeared to be giant bats hanging from the ceiling. No way, Celine gasped in surprise. She and Fitzsimmons simultaneously turned tail and began to run. The rest followed suit. I am not going back in there, Fitz stated. No way. Those were teachers, Jessie whispered. When Finch arrived, he brought with him 7 new teachers, 4 dinner ladies and a nurse. 13, they agreed. There were 13 bat people in there. Come on, the doctor said, turning to go back into the school. Come on, Fitz echoed. You've got to be kidding. I need the TARDIS, the doctor explained. I've got to analyze that oil from the kitchen. Sarah Jane tugged on his arm. I might be able to help you there. I've got something to show you. Jessie looked as Sarah Jane unlocked the back of her end of her car. When she opened it, the doctor brightened considerably. K9! He cried gleefully, and Jessie raised an eyebrow at the metal dog. Jessie Nightshade, Celine Harper, Melinda May, Leo Fitz, Gemma Simmons, allow me to introduce K9. Well, K9 Mark III, to be precise. Why does he look so disco? Jessie asked. Oi, the doctor protested. Listen, in the year 5000, this was cutting edge. He looked K9 over. What's happened to him? Oh, one day he just... Nothing, Sarah Jane answered. Well, didn't you try and get him prepared? Everyone simultaneously turned to him, jaw-dropping. Well, it's not like getting parts from a mini Vetro, Sarah Jane retorted. Besides, the technology inside him could rewrite human science. I couldn't just show him to anyone. I think he's cute, Gemma commented. Good taste, Agent Simmons, the doctor praised. Agent? Sarah squeaked. You work with agents? Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Strategic Division, May replied, and 5 shield badges were flashed at Sarah Jane. SHIELD for short. Okay, now that I think of it, that really is a mouthful. Oh, what's that nasty lady done to you, eh? The doctor asked in a baby voice. Jessie stared at him in shock. Look, no offense, but could you just stop petting for 1 minute? No, never mind. The tin dog. We're busy. You see, Celine said as Jessie waited for their chips to be done. Fitzsimmons working with the doctor and Sarah Jane on K9. What's impressive is that it's been nearly an hour since we met her, and I still haven't said I told you so. Jessie growled. I'm not listening to this. Although I have prepared a little I was right dance that I can show you later. Jessie handed the proper money over to the server and took her basket. All this time you've been giving it. He's different when the truth is he's just like any other guy. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe, but if I were you, I'd go easy on the chips. God, this is fascinating, Fitz gushed as he looked at the inside of K9. Bloody hell. The doctor grinned. Rocket science doesn't beat technology from the future, eh? No way, Gemma agreed, holding a flashlight up. You know, Sarah Jane began, I thought of you on Christmas Day. This Christmas just gone, great big spaceship overhead. I thought, oh yeah, bet he's up there. Right on top of it, yeah, the doctor agreed, fiddling with his sonic screwdriver. And Jessie? The doctor nodded. She was there too, along with Celine and May. Did I do something wrong? Sarah Jane asked timidly. Because you never came back for me. You just dumped me. I told you, I was called back home, and in those days, humans weren't allowed. And now it's gone, right? Gemma asked. The doctor swallowed. Yeah. I waited for you, Jane told. Sarah Jane told him. I missed you. Oh, but you didn't need me. You were getting on with your life. You were my life. Fitzsimmons looked between Sarah Jane and the doctor. You know what most difficult thing was? Coping with what happens next. Or with what doesn't happen next. You took me to the furthest reaches of the galaxy. You showed me supernovas, intergalactic battles, and you just dropped me back on Earth. There was the Chitauri invasion, Fitz offered, and the Dark Elf conundrum, the doctor tried. I kind of like that. Thanks, Fitzy boy. Fitz, he murmured, and Gemma giggled. How could anything compare to that? Sarah Jane asked. You could apply for SHIELD, Gemma offered. All the things you saw, the doctor said, turning to Sarah Jane. Do you want me to apologize for that? No, Sarah Jane replied quickly. But we get a taste of that splendor, and then we have to go back. Look at you. You're investigating. You found that school. You've done what we've always did. You could have come back. I couldn't. Why not? The doctor didn't answer. Gemma looked over her shoulder to see Jessie, Celine, and May eating. She turned back to the doctor. Doctor, she asked hesitantly. He didn't answer her either. It wasn't Crydon where you dropped me off, Sarah Jane told the doctor. That wasn't Crydon. Where was it? He asked, still working on K9. Aberdeen. Fitz snorted loudly. Right, the doctor said absently, then looked back at her. That's next to Crydon, isn't it? Gemma laughed, and then K9's lights came on. Oh, hey, the doctor cheered. Now we're in business. Master, K9 said in a robotic voice. He recognizes me. Affirmative. Jessie, give us the oil. Jessie slipped it out of her pocket and handed it to him. Wouldn't touch it, though. The dinner lady got all scorched. I'm no dinner lady, the doctor assured her with a smirk. And I don't often say that. He smeared oil onto K9's probe, and he watched as K9 began scanning. Here we go. Come on, boy. Here we go. Extract, K9 stuttered. Analyzing. Listen to him, man, Celine said in surprise. That's a voice. Careful, said Sarah Jane warned. That's my dog. Confirmation of analysis, K9 reported. Substance is krillitine oil. The doctor stuck in her breath. They're krillitines. Is that bad? May asked. Very, the doctor agreed. Think of how bad things could be, and then add another suitcase full of bad. And what are krillitines? Sarah Jane asked. They're a composite race, the doctor began to explain. Just like your culture and a mixture of traditions from all sorts of countries. People you've invaded or have been invaded by. You've got bits of Viking, bits of France, bits of whatever. The krillitines are the same, an amalgam of races they've conquered, but they take the physical aspects as well. They cherry-pick the best fits from the people they destroy. That's why I didn't recognize them. The last time I saw krillitines, they looked just like us, except they had really long necks. What are they doing here? Gemma asked. The doctor's eyes widened in realization. It's the children. They're doing something to the children. So what's the deal with the tin dogs? Tin dogs, Celine asked as she and May helped put K9 in the trunk of Sarah's car. The doctor likes traveling with an entourage, Sarah Jane explained. Sometimes they're humans, sometimes they're aliens, and sometimes they're some dogs. What about you? Where do you fit in this picture? Fitzsimmons and I are part of a SHIELD team that investigates anything supernatural here, May replied. I'm the pilot. And me? Celine asked. I'm sort of the go-between girl. I'm kind of technical support. She got her eyes widening. Oh my god, I'm the tin dog. How many of us have there been traveling with you? The doctor turned to look at Jessie as she followed him out. Does it matter? He asked, trying to avoid the topic. Yeah, it does. If I'm the latest in the long line, Jessie replied. As opposed to what? I knew you were other... I knew there were other people before this, but I thought you and me, I just thought it was just the two of us. She shook her head. I obviously got it wrong. I've been to the year 5 billion, right? But this, she nodded to Sarah Jane, who was talking to Celine and May. Now this is really seeing the future. You just leave this behind. Is that what you're going to do to me? And truthfully, the doctor's heart clenched at her accusation. No, he replied instantly, not to you. But Sarah Jane, she pressed. You were that close to her once, and now you never even mentioned her. Why not? You know what happens to me, he tried to explain. I don't age, I regenerate. Human decay. You wither and you die. I imagine that happening to someone who... Imagine that watching that happen to someone who you... He cut off abruptly, not letting that one word he wanted to say slip out. Jessie raised an eyebrow. What, doctor? He tried to say it in a different way. You can spend the rest of your life with me, but I can't spend the rest of mine with you. I have to live on, alone. That's the curse of the Time Lords. There was a screech, and the doctor looked up as one of the krillitines swooped down. He grabbed Jessie by the shoulders and pulled her down with him as it swooped around them, almost hitting Sarah Jane. Was that a krillitine? Gemma asked. But it didn't even touch her, May said. It just flew off. What did it do that for? The doctors watched the students enter the school the next morning, crossing his arms. Jess and Sarah, you go to the math rooms. Crack open those computers. I need to see the hardware inside. He took his sonic screwdriver out of his pocket. Here, you might need this. He handed it to Sarah Jane. Celine Fitzsimmons surveillance. I want you outside. I need eyes on everything. Just stand outside, Celine asked incredibly. Here, Sarah Jane said, fishing her card keys out. Take these. You can keep K9 company. She tossed the keys into the air, and Fitz caught them. Don't forget to leave the window open a crack, the doctor added. But he's metal, Fitz protested. The doctor grinned. I didn't mean for him. What are you going to do? Jessie asked. The doctor turned to May with a smile. Melinda May, I think it's time I had a word with Mr. Finch. Care to join me? The students ran past them on the staircase as the doctor and May walked down one side. The doctor looked over the railing, once to see Finch observing the students. The man stiffened and looked up, meeting the eyes of the doctor before heading for the swimming pool. Keep an eye on him, will you? The doctor asked May as they headed in the direction as well. You got it, she replied, hand going for the gun on her side. They entered on one end of the pool to see Finch standing on the other side. Who are you? The doctor asked. My name is Brother Lasse, Finch replied. And you? The doctor introduced himself, then nodded to May. And this is Melinda May. Since when did chrylotines have wings? It's been our form for nearly 10 generations now. Our ancestors invaded Bessem. The people there had some rather lovely wings. They made millions of windows in a day. Just imagine. And now you're looking human, May said. A personal favorite, that's all, Finch replied. And the others? The doctor asked. My brothers remain bat form, Finch answered. What you see is simply morphic illusion. Scratch the surface, and the true chrylotine lays beneath. He tilted his head. And what of Time Lords? I always thought of you as such a pompous race. Ancient, dusty senators, so frightened of change and chaos. Of course, they're all but extinct. Only you, the last. Ignore him, May whispered in his ear. The doctor nodded microscopically. This plan of yours, what is it? You don't know, Finch said, sounding surprised. That tends to be why people ask, May retorted. Well, show me how clever you are, Finch told the doctor, holding his hand out. Work it out. If I don't like it, then I will stop it, the doctor warned. Fascinating, Finch watched closer. Your people were peaceful, to the point of insolence. You seem to be something new. Would you declare war on us, Doctor? I would, May muttered. I'm so old now, the doctor replied. I used to have so much mercy. You get one warning. That was it. But we're not even enemies, Finch said softly. Soon you will embrace us. He looked both of them over. The next time we meet, you will join with me. I promise you both. I'm wondering if I should have gone with Jessie and Sarah Jane, Gemma commented as she looked over her tablet. Jessie would kill Sarah Jane if she got the chance. Still, he couldn't have sent us back to the bus, Fitz pointed out. Surveillance, Jessie snorted. If you ask me, it's just another way of saying, go sit in the back of the class with the safety scissors and glitter. She looked at Caroline, then sighed. That's me talking to a metal dog, then. It's not working. Jessie held out her hand and the sonic screwdriver as Sarah Jane smacked it against her palm. Give it to me. Sarah Jane handed it over, and Jessie began working on the wires. Used to work first time in my day. Things were a lot simpler back then. Jessie, can I give you a bit of advice? Jessie raised her eyebrow at her. I've got a feeling you're going to anyway. I know how intense a relationship with a doctor can be, and I don't want you to feel like I'm intruding. Jessie blinked. I don't feel threatened by you, if that's what you meant. Right, Sarah Jane said quickly. Good, because I'm not interested in picking up where we left off. No? She asked, turning to get a little carried away with no one to stop her. With the big sad eyes and the robotic dog, she snorted. What else were you doing last night? I was just saying how hard it was adjusting to life back on Earth. The thing is, Jessie said, going back to the wires, when you two meet, they'd only just get rid of rationing. No wonder all that space and stuff was a bit much for you. I had no problem with space stuff, Jessie cried. I saw things you wouldn't believe. Oh, that'll be good, Jessie laughed, standing up and folding her arms. Try me then. Mummies. I've met ghosts. Robots. Lots of robots. Slovene, she smirked, in Downing Street. Daleks. Met and killed the Empire, Jessie retorted. Antimatter monsters. Gas masks, zombies, and Chitauri. Real living dinosaurs. Real living werewolf. The Loch Ness Monster. Jessie blinked. Seriously? Sarah Jane bit her lip, and Jessie shook her head. Listen to us, she chuckled. It's like me and my other best friend, Sky. The only time we fell out of it was over a man, and we're arguing over the doctor. She grinned. With you, did he do the thing where he explained something at like 90 miles per hour, and you go, what? And he looked like he just drooled on your shirt? Sarah Jane grinned. All the time. Does he still stroke bits of the TARDIS? Jessie began to giggle. Yeah, he does. She laughed louder. I'm like, do you two want to be alone? They shared a laugh and burst out laughing. The doctor and maid entered behind them, not noticing them. How's it going? He asked. Jessie and Sarah looked at each other before laughing even harder, practically doubling over. The doctor frowned and looked at May in confusion. What? May shrugged her shoulders and shrugged, holding up her hands. The doctor turned back to them. Listen, I need to find out what's programmed inside these. Jessie began laughing hysterically, doubling over and having to clutch on the table for support. Sarah Jane wasn't much better. May looked like she was trying to contain a grin, but the doctor was still utterly confused. What? He asked. Stop it! All pupils to class immediately. Gemma looked up from her tablet, which announced when the announcement came on the loudspeaker, and would all members of the staff congregate in the staff room. That's not right, Fitz said, checking his phone. Schedule said they shouldn't be going inside for another 10 minutes. Something's not right then, Celine murmured, straightening up. I just wonder what. I can't shift it, the doctor said as he tried to use the sonic screwdriver. I thought the sonic screwdriver could open anything, Sarah Jane exclaimed. Anything except a deadlock seal, the doctor corrected. And would. Mess with me now. There's got to be something inside here where they're teaching these kids. The doors to the school slammed shut, and Gemma jumped into her seat. What the? There's still a kid there, Fitz said, pointing. Gemma saw the boy shaking the door handles, trying to get them open. They've taken them all, he mouthed. What? Celine asked. They've taken all the children. Sarah Jane pointed to one of the screens. You wanted the program. There it is. The doctor leaned in closer to take a look. Some sort of code. Jessie began pressing buttons on K9. Come on, she said. We need some help. K9 Fitz hit K9 on the head, and he powered up. System restarted, K9 reported. All primary drives functioning. You're working, Gemma chirped, then summered. Okay, now time to explain. We need to get inside the school. Do you have, I don't know, a lock-picking device? We are in a car, K9 observed. Maybe a drill attachment? She tried again. We are in a car, K9 repeated. Fat lot of good you are, Fitzsimmons replied. We are in a car. Celine's eyes widened. Wait a second, she murmured. We're in a car. She grinned, then gestured to Kenny. Get back. The doctor's eyes widened. The Skysis paradigm. They're trying to crack the Skysis paradigm. The Skysis what? Sarah Jane asked. The God-maker, the doctor exclaimed. The universal theory. Crack that equation, and you've got control of the building blocks of the universe. Time and space and matters, yours to control. What, and the kids are like a giant computer? May I ask? The doctor nodded. Yes, and their learning power is accelerated by the oil. The oil from the kitchens. It worked as a conducting agent. Makes the kids clever. Jessie's eyes widened. But that's oils on the chips. I've been eating them. The doctor tilted his head. What's 59 times 35? The numbers popped into her head instantly. 2065. Her eyes widened. Oh my God, May whispered in shock. But why use children? Sarah Jane asked. Can't they use adults? No, it's got to be children, the doctor replied. The God-maker needs an imagination to crack it. They're not using the children's brain to pick the code. They're using their souls. Let the lesson begin. Both Jessie and May turned immediately, drawing their guns and aiming them at Finch, who had entered behind them. Think of it, Doctor. With the paragram solved, reality becomes clay in our hand. We can shape the universe and improve it. Oh yeah? The doctor asked with a snort. The whole creation of the face of Mr. Finch? Call me old-fashioned, but I like the things as they are. You act like such a radical, and yet all you want to do is preserve the old order. Think of the changes that could be made if this power was used for good. What? By someone like you? No, someone like you. The doctor faltered, and Jessie took a step closer to him as Fletch approached. May, keeping her gun trained on him. The paradigm gives us power, but you gives us wisdom. Become a god at my side. Imagine what you could do. Think of the civilizations you could save. Paragon, Ansta, your own people, Doctor, standing tall. Jessie clicked the safety off, and May did the same when Finch mentioned the Time Lords. The Time Lords reborn. Doctor, don't listen to them, Sarah Jane pleaded. And you could be with him throughout entirely, Finch added, looking at Sarah Jane. She stopped as well. May should step towards her. Young, fresh, never wither, never age, never die. He smiled at the doctor. Their lives are so fleeting, so many goodbyes. How lonely you must be, Doctor. Join us. I could save everyone, the doctor whispered. Yes, Finch agreed. I could stop the war. No, Sarah Jane said firmly, stepping forward. The universe has to move forward. Pain and loss, they defy us as much as happiness and love. Whether it's a world or relationship, everything has its times, and everything ends. I promised you once, and I'll promise you again, Jessie added, looking at the doctor when he stared at Sarah Jane in shock. There will always be me. Remember how long I'll stay with you? I promised it, and I'm not breaking it. Forever. The doctor looked at her then, and then something shifted behind his eyes. He grabbed her wrist, and she shrieked, but he simply turned her wrist, pointing a gun at the big screen with the code, flashing across it, and he fired it, smashing it. Out, he shouted. Jessie took her cue to run, the others following her. She heard the sound of a car revving, and then the smashing of glass doors at the school. A few minutes later, she almost ran into Celine, Fitzsimmons, and a voice she remembered from the cafeteria. Kenny. What's going on? Gemma asked. Jessie just kept running. They made to the canteen area of the doors, when the doors banged open. Jessie looked over her shoulder as Finch and more canteens approached. Kenny's eyes widened. Are they my teachers? He asked in surprise. Yeah, the doctor replied. Sorry. We need the doctor alive, Finch declared. As for the others, you can feast. Fitzemma and Sarah Jane dove with Kenny under the tables. Jessie, Celine, and May began firing as the swooping Quillatines occasionally ducked to avoid being grabbed. A laser beam hit one of the Quillatines, and Sarah Jane grinned. K9, she cried. Suggest you engage running mode, mistress, the robotic dog replied. Come on, the doctor called to them. Jessie ran past him, opening the doors as the doctor called to K9. K9, hold them back. Affirmative, master. Maximum defense mode. It's the oil, the doctor panted as they made it to this physics lab he and Jenna had taught in. Quillatine life forms can't handle the oil. That's it. They've changed their philosophy, their physiology so often, even their own oil is toxic for them. How much was there in the kitchen? May smiled. Barrels of it. The doctor grinned back at her. Okay, we need to get to the kitchen. Celine? What now? She complained. Hold the coats? The doctor shook his head. Get all the children unplugged and out of the school. Fitzsimmons, help her out. Now then. He looked as the Quillatines began banging on the doors. Bats, bats, bats. How do we fight bats? Kenny saw the problem when he pulled the fire alarm. The doctor grinned as the boy and ran out of the room, right past the Quillatines. Master, K9 reported as he caught up to them. Come on, boy, the doctor encouraged. Good boy. Jessie and Gemma began hauling barrels into position as the doctor tried to open them. They've been deadlock sealed, he said, sounding frustrated. Finch must have done that. I can't open them. The vats would not withstand a direct hit from my laser. But my batteries are failing, K9 noted. Right, the doctor clapped his hands. Everyone out the back door. K9, stay with me. Jessie, May, and Sarah Jane ran out the back door as the doctor hauled the rest of the barrels into position. Capacity for only one shot, Master, K9 said. For maximum impact, I must be stationed directly behind the vat. The doctor paused, looking at his dog in shock. But you'll be trapped inside. That is correct. I cannot let you do that. No alternative possible, Master. The doctor knelt down and patted the dog. Good old friend. Goodbye, Master. He gave one last smile. You good dog. Affirmative. He exited through the back door and Sonic the door. Sarah Jane stared at him. Where's K9? We need to run, the doctor replied, grabbing her arm and pulling her with him. Where is he? Sarah Jane shouted. What have you done? Let's go, Celine shouted somewhere off to the side as they joined the crowds of kids running. Come on, guys, run! The school exploded behind them, and the kids began to cheer. Jessie and May seemed to get what had happened the same time Sarah Jane did, because she began to cry. I'm sorry, the doctor apologized. Sarah Jane shook her head. It's all right. He was just a daft battle dog, she sniffed. It's fine, really. The doctor simply hugged her as she burst into tears and buried her face in his shoulder. Cup of tea, the doctor offered Sarah Jane, opening the door of the TARDIS. Jessie looked over from where she was talking to Celine. May is reporting back to Coulson, she explained. They'll be leaving in a few hours. You've redecorated, Sarah Jane commented, looking around. Do you like it? The doctor asked. Oh, I do, she replied, nodding. I prefer it as it was, but, yeah, it'll do. I love it, Jessie said with a grin. Not much like the bus, but it's home, Gemma agreed, smiling. Speaking of the bus, May said as she came back from the TARDIS corridor. Coulson's there already. That'll be our cue, Fitz said. Wait a minute, Sarah Jane interrupted, pointing to Jessie. What's 47 times 369? 17,343. Jessie blinked when the answer stayed in her head. What the hell? No idea, she lied, panicking a little. It's gone now. The oil's faded. But you're still clever, Sarah Jane grinned. More than a match for him. You and me both, Jessie laughed. Doctor? We're about to head off, but you could come with us, he offered. Sarah Jane smiled softly and shook her head. No, I can't do this anymore. Besides, I've got a much bigger adventure ahead. Time I stopped waiting for you and found a life of my own. Celine shuffled. Can I come? Jessie jerked her head toward Celine, followed by the rest of the SHIELD team there and the doctor. No, not with you, she told Sarah Jane quickly. I mean, with you, she nodded to the doctor. Because I'm not the tin dog. I want to see what's out there. Oh, go on then, doctor, Sarah Jane encouraged. You've been talking about how you like gingers. Maybe it's time you had a ginger aboard. Okay, then, the doctor agreed, and Jessie chewed her lip, trying to ignore the flare she sent in the flare she felt in the pit of her stomach. I could do with a laugh. Celine at Jessie worriedly. Jessie, is that okay? No, she replied quickly, knowing she was really lying through her teeth. Great, why not? Sarah Jane stepped over to her, smiling. Well, I'd better go. What do I do? Jessie whispered as she stopped by her. Do I stay with him? Yes, Sarah Jane confirmed. Some things are worth getting your heart broken for. Jessie smiled and gave the woman a huge hug, which was returned. Find me if you need to one day, Sarah Jane whispered in her ear. Find me. The doctor followed Sarah Jane, May, and Fitzsimmons outside. It's death, Sarah Jane said. But I haven't ever thanked you for that time, and like I said, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Something to tell the grandkids, the doctor joked. Oh, I think it'll be someone else's grandkids now. Right, yes, sorry. I didn't get the chance to ask, the doctor tilted his head. There hasn't been anyone? Well, Jara said slowly, there's this one guy. I traveled with him for a while, but he was a tough act to follow. Gemma grinned at the look on the doctor's face. Sarah Jane did too. Goodbye, doctor. No, it's not goodbye, the doctor began to protest. Do say it, Sarah Jane begged. Please, this time, say it. The doctor nodded slowly. Goodbye, my Sarah Jane. Gemma stepped forward after the doctor gave Sarah Jane a hug, big enough to lift her off her feet. Doctor, she said lowly as she made it to his side, you better tell Jessie sooner or later, because I got the feeling she's not as happy as she should be with Celine on board now. The doctor frowned, looking at her. What? Gemma punched him in the arm. You know it, because you were going to say it after you fixed K9, she hissed, and something flashed in the doctor's eyes. He looked down almost in embarrassment. Celine said after you meet Sarah Jane that you were just like any other guy. There is only one in Jessie's. One made her life a living hell, but that other helped her rebuild hers. And now they're both dead. Don't be the first kind of guy. The doctor nodded, hugging her. I promise. Take care of them, doctor, Fitz said, walking up next. The doctor shook his head. Fizzy boy. Fitz grinned. I'll let that pass this time. Keep on flying, Agent May, the doctor told May, giving her a hug as well. May nodded. I plan on it. The doctor went back into the TARDIS and began to dematerialize. Sarah Jane and May began to walk away, but Gemma kept watching. When it faded away entirely, her eyes widened when she saw what had been left behind. Oh my God, she gasped. Sarah Jane! She turned back immediately, and her eyes brightened. K9! Mistress, the dog replied, rolling towards her. But you got blown up, Fitz protested. The master rebuilt me, K9 explained, and Gemma grinned. My systems are improved with no undetectable hyperlink facilities. In other words, he replaced you with a brand new model, Gemma summed up. Affirmative. Sarah Jane smiled. Yeah, he does that. She began walking off with the other four. Come on, you. Home. We've got work to do. Affirmative. Sarah Jane, May called, and Sarah Jane stopped to look over at them. If you ever do need a job, give us a call. Sarah Jane nodded. I will, agents. Gemma smiled at Sarah Jane, and K9 laughed. The doctor is right, she said. On what? Fitz asked. Gemma beamed. Brilliant. She looked up at the sky as she quoted him. Good for you, Sarah Jane Smith. Chapter 8. What is this feeling? Celine made a face and tossed a book to Jessie. I like the musical a whole lot better. Jessie caught it, surprised at the title. Wiccan? Oh yeah, that book? Nothing like the musical at all. Is that good or bad? Jessie asked. Trust me, it's bad, Celine started. You wouldn't like it. Wicked, the doctor said as he walked in, dusting his hands off like he'd just done something. Broadway musical like a prologue to The Wizard of Oz, starring Irene Mendes and Kristen Chenoweth as Elphaba and Glinda, whose original name was Glinda. He shuddered. Book was horrible. I thought you liked books, Jessie protested. The doctor shrugged. Depends. The musical was less, he coughed, graphic, Celine suggested. Okay, before I go on, I have to admit, this is my fan side coming out a bit. Idinda Mendel's, I can't pronounce her name. But the chick who played as Elphaba in Wiccan is in the movie / play Rent, which is my all-time favorite musical. And she plays as Maureen. So, yeah, fan side coming out. Little tidbit there on that name. The doctor nodded quickly. That, yes, much less graphic. And I agree. I've read the book. I actually own the book. Jessie squeaked and tossed the book away, making Celine laugh. Okay, so I'm not reading that anytime soon. Celine perked up and looked at the doctor. Can we go see it? The doctor raised an eyebrow. What, Wiccan? Yeah, but the first time it was ever performed? The original Wiccan? The doctor nodded. What's a time machine for? Celine grinned happily, and Jessie felt another tug in her gut. Great, but I'll let you choose where we go first. The doctor quirked an eyebrow. Alrighty then. He pointed at the two of them. You two what you need to do before we go on our first adventure. Sleep, Jessie said. I need it bad. Celine nodded. Saving schools from curlitine aren't really something I do every day. The doctor nodded. Sleep how much you like, and then we're off into the wild blue yonder. He made a face. Ugh, Air Force. I like the Marine Corps better. Jessie snickered as the doctor left, then blinking when Celine promptly turned to her. All right, spill it. Jessie blinked again. What? Celine shook her head. Oh, come on, Jessie. You're my best friend. I know you. Something's bugging you. Jessie sighed. Why did you want to come? Celine blinked. What? Why did you want to come? Jessie echoed, folding her arms. The first time the doctor offered, you didn't want to, and now he doesn't even ask, and you just volunteer yourself for it? I asked if you wanted me to come, and you said why not. Celine pointed out, and then her eyes widened. Oh my God, you're jealous. What? Jessie shrieked. Celine burst out laughing. Oh my God, you so are. No, I'm not, Jessie sputtered. Celine tried to talk through her laughter. Oh God, Jessie, I'm not trying to steal the doctor. Jessie stared at her, feeling somewhat lighter, taking the place of the heaviness in her stomach. You aren't, she squeaked, cursing herself that her voice sounded too high. Celine grinned. Never, she burst out laughing. It's just like in Wicked, when you never really know the feeling of something, and when you realize what it is, it doesn't end up lasting long. Jessie grinned. What is this feeling, so sudden and new? Celine grinned back. I felt that moment I laid eyes on you. My pulse is rushing, my head is reeling, my face is flushing. What is this feeling, they sang together. For vivid as a flame, does it have a name? Yes. Celine grinned. Jealousy. Jessie let her head fall back. God, I feel awful now. Celine patted her arm. He's all yours, girl, and he always will be. If the way he's so protective of you is anything to go by. Now go get some sleep. Odin knows how much we both need it. Jessie was still grinning when she fell asleep later. Okay, so that was the next 2 chapters. Alrighty, peace out, knights.